Welcome back to CardioEd YouTube channel and podcast. If you are listening to or watching this channel for the first time, consider subscribing. We discuss the recent advances in cardiology, cardiac imaging and cardiovascular interventions. Also, we touch upon the various topics of cardiology in our discussions. Today's topic of discussion is activation trial. It was recently published in JACC Intervention. It was an open label randomized international multi-centric trial, and it tried to answer a very important question. It was about revascularization in patients undergoing TAVR or TAVR or transcatheter aortic valve replacement. Coronary artery disease is fairly common in patients with aortic stenosis. It is said that approximately 2/3 of the cases with aortic stenosis have underlying coronary artery disease, and it is probably because of overlapping risk factors. Various studies have quoted the incidence of coronary artery disease in patients with severe AS in somewhere in between 24% to 64%. Presence of coronary artery disease is an independent predictor of outcome in patients with severe aortic stenosis, and the current guidelines recommend coronary revascularization, concomitant coronary revascularization for significant CAD in patients who are undergoing surgical aortic valve replacement. However, the role of percutaneous interventions in patients undergoing TAVR is not clear. This activation trial, it compared PCI or percutaneous intervention prior to TAVR versus no PCI prior to TAVR. The aim of the activation trial was to determine if PCI prior to TAVR in patients with significant CAD would produce non-inferior clinical results when compared to the control group or no PCI. The patients were included in this study if they had severe aortic stenosis and they were suitable for TAVR, and they had at least one stenosis which was more than equal to 70% in major epicardial coronary artery, and it was suitable for PCI, or more than equal to 50% if we are talking about left main stem or a vein graft. The patients were excluded from this study if the presentation was that of an acute coronary syndrome within last 30 days, if the patients had angina of CCS class more than equal to 3, or patient had unprotected left main stem disease, or patients had some contraindication to dual antiplatelet agents. Patients were randomized in 1:1 fashion into two groups. One group received PCI prior to TAVR and another group did not receive PCI prior to TAVR. It was our control arm. Patients who ultimately received PCI were put on the dual antiplatelet agents, which comprised of aspirin daily with either clopidogrel 600 mg or prasugrel 60 mg or ticagrelor or 180 mg loading dose, followed by maintenance dose, and this loading dose was given if the patients were not on at least 1 week of dual antiplatelet therapy. The choice of stents, the access site or duration of antiplatelet therapy, or the choice of TAVR valve was left to the discretion of implanting center. The primary endpoint of the study was all-cause mortality and rehospitalization from any cause at 1 year from TAVR. In this study, 235 patients were recruited, and of these patients, 119 patients were randomized to undergo PCI before TAVR and 116 patients did not undergo PCI before TAVR. The baseline characteristics of the patients enrolled in both the groups, that is the PCI group and the control group, were comparable. The mean age of the patients in this study was around 83 years in both the groups. Males comprised approximately 70 to 75% of the total patient population. 98% of the patients presented with the history of dyspnea, and syncope was present in approximately 15% of the patients. Most of these patients were in either NYHA2 or NYHA3 functional class. Majority of these patients either had no angina or had mild angina, that is 70% of the patients enrolled were in CCS class 0 and 15 to 20% patients were in CCS class 1 or 2. Then the mean STS score was 4.4 in both the arms. Approximately 60% of the patients had an eGFR of less than 60 ml per minute. The question arises that why do we want to treat this complex CAD which is present in these severe aortic stenosis patients who are undergoing TAVR? This is because of the theoretical risk of increased hemodynamic instability which can be present during TAVR if these patients have got underlying CAD, underlying untreated CAD. The investigators hypothesized that PCI may reduce mortality by reducing the risk of perioperative hemodynamic instability and impair ventricular contractility following TAVR. This trial showed us that pre-TAVR PCI may not be the best strategy for elderly patients and it does not have any mortality benefit. CAD in elderly population is a very complex disease. Often heavy calcification may be present that may mandate the use of some complicated calcium modification techniques during the PCI, and it carries the risk of hemodynamic instability. So what the trial has found in this study that there was numerically higher incidence of AKI and there was increased incidence of major bleeding in the PCI arm at 30 days after the TAVR. The increased bleeding risk in these patients is primarily because of the increased use of dual antiplatelet therapy in the PCI arm. It is also to be remembered that increased bleeding risk and access site complications are predictors of poor outcomes after TAVR. What do we conclude from the results of activation trial? We conclude that if the patients who are undergoing TAVR have significant CAD and minimal angina, the observed rate of death and rehospitalization at 1 year from any cause is similar in both the groups, that is PCI prior to TAVR group and no PCI prior to TAVR. The PCI group had higher incidence of bleeding. We'll be covering coronary revascularization in patients undergoing aortic valve replacement for severe aortic stenosis in a detailed longer lecture. This lecture would be based on the state-of-the-art review which was recently published in JACC Interventions. Also, we'll be talking about the FFR in patients with aortic stenosis. We'll talk about PCI, we'll talk about CABG in patients with aortic stenosis, and what effects does surgical aortic valve replacement has on coronary hemodynamic status. We'll talk about the effects of TAVR on coronary hemodynamics and what should be the optimal strategy for revascularization of patients who are undergoing TAVR. Should we be doing it before the procedure? Should we be doing after the procedure? Should we be doing it at all? We'll have a discussion on these issues in the coming videos or podcast. An important reminder before we close today's discussion. So I'm trying to make the best content possible for you. If you have noticed anything on these videos that you think I can improve in, I'm 100% open to feedback and I would love to hear it from you. In order to give me the feedback, all you have to do is leave your thoughts in the comment section below. You are listening to CardioEd and we'll meet again in another episode.